So welcome, everyone. Welcome to our first ever National Savings Week. I'm Tashonda Brown-Duckett, CEO of the Consumer Bank, and we have over 12,000 JPMorgan Chase employees who are attending financial wellness events this entire week. And tens of thousands of clients and community members are tuning in right now to watch this on Facebook Live. Yes. So why are we so focused on savings? With every new year comes a fresh new set of resolutions and goals, mostly centered around wellness. And we've done them all, right? Who's lost those 15 pounds already? Who's already exercising more, building more relationships, spending more time with the girlfriends? We've all done that already, correct? But the truth is, wellness doesn't only mean health in the traditional sense. It's like running on a treadmill. It also means financial wellness. And the root of financial wellness is savings. Hashtag saving it. So unfortunately, as a country, we are not as financially fit as we can and should be. 46% of Americans say that they would be challenged to find that $400 in the event of an emergency. 57% have difficulty managing their financial lives and meeting their long-term goals. And at least 25% of American employees, regardless of their position or salary, say that they are financially stressed. So we want to inspire our employees. We want to inspire our clients, and we want to inspire all of the communities where we live and where we work. We want to not make this just a National Savings Week, but a movement. Not just retirement for the long term, but beginning to save in the meantime, those life moments along the way. Maybe it's for karate lessons. Maybe it's for that summer vacation. Maybe it's for that true emergency fund because you know that your car may break down this year. Everyone has goals, big and small, and there's no better feeling when you reach them. Hashtag saved it, done it. So understanding and tapping into the dreams of our employees and clients and helping them create a game plan to achieve these goals, that's who we are, and that's why we're here. We want to create not a moment, but a movement. And we want you to be a part of it. And we want to provide you with practical information, everyday tips that we can all do to begin to take that first step in owning our financial health and well-being. And so today, we're going to get started. Today, right now, we are going to start to meet our goals and objectives through this week moment today. So enough from me. Let me introduce you to the moderators of today's fantastic event. Our moderator for the event has a really practical, real-life experience that many of us can relate to. She had over $100,000 in credit card debt.
I don't know if I can relate to that part.
Yes. Before she paid it off in 3 years, and she turned her financial life around. In 3 years, $100,000 in debt. We need some tips. Since then, she said, let me share it. So she is now a best-selling author and has appeared on some national TV shows like The Oprah Winfrey Show, Steve Harvey, The Today Show, Dr. Phil, The Tyra Banks Show, and Good Morning America, just to name a few. She has been on those shows to share her success story and how she is teaching millions about proper money management. You may know her best as the money coach, but today she's here to lead this inspiring discussion. Please join me with a big round of applause in welcoming Ms. Lynette Calfani-Cox.
quite a welcome, and I'm so appreciative of that, T. Thank you so much. People call me the money coach, and Shonda was so generous in her accolades and praise for me, but I really want to give proper due credit to my speakers here today, these people who are experts in their own right. My writing background and my New York Times bestseller about getting out of debt, Zero Debt, is pale, I think, in comparison to our first speaker, Deepak Chopra, who I'm sure many of you have read his books. Again, I have about 12 books. He has written over 80 books, okay? I have one New York Times bestseller. He's had 25 of them. Not only is he the founder of the Chopra Foundation, but he's a world-renowned pioneer in integrative medicine and personal transformation. Time magazine described him as one of the top 100 heroes and icons of the century, okay? So I know that we're in for a very big treat here. Dr. Chopra is also board certified in internal medicine. He has been named by the Huffington Post Global Internet Survey as number 17 influential thinker in the world and number 1 in medicine. So I think, again, we're here with such a renowned expert who really needs no introduction. But because I mentioned the books, I also wanted to say, as an author, I like to give people their props here as well. This is his latest book called The Healing Self, which comes out January 30th. Next week. You guys can take some pre-orders right now. And I do really encourage you to go out and get that. Farnoosh Torabi is also joining us today for this conversation. I don't even know how much I can say about Farnoosh without bragging on her as a woman, as a leader, as a personal finance expert who I've known many years. Personally and professionally, we've got to share the stage on numerous occasions. She's a mom of 2. You've seen her work in Money Magazine and in Oprah. If you're not listening to her podcast, So Money, what are you waiting for? You really can get some practical tips there regularly. Farnoosh is just phenomenal as a personal finance expert, and she writes a lot for women in particular. And I definitely can't wait to get her insights on some gender sort of nuanced things and what we as women in particular can be doing to improve our health and our financial wealth. So let me kick things off. First, I always feel like as an expert, people say my bio and they say all these things about me, but I like to know like the stuff behind the bio. So I'd love it if you would share with the audience a bit about you personally, certainly if you want to talk about any professional highlights, but just give us a sense of some of the personal background and what drives you, what makes you both so passionate about what it is that you do. And Deepak, let's start with you.
Well, I came to this country in 1970. I couldn't leave India with more than $8 because of foreign exchange regulations. An uncle of mine in London gave me $100, so I had 108, which is, if you know anything about Indian mythology, it's a very auspicious number. So I decided to spend it auspiciously. I went to Paris and I spent it all in one night at the Moulin Rouge. When I got to New York, I had no money, zero.
You literally came here from India, you stopped in Paris, and you got to America basically flat broke.
Flat broke. I started my internship, and the next day I went to an automobile shop, and I liked the automobiles there, and the salesman said, "Why don't you get one?" I said, "I don't have any money." So he said, "What do you do?" I said, "I'm a doctor, or learning to be one." And so all you have to do is fill out this piece of paper.
Sign on the dotted line.
And you can have this car. So I drove out with a brand new Volkswagen. And that started...
You said, "I love America," right?
Yeah, what a great country. But what I realized soon was that I was spending money that I hadn't earned to buy things that I didn't need to impress people that I didn't like. And then I was wondering why all this stress.
That one, that is it. That is the line, yes.
It'll cause inflammation in your body, high blood pressure. And about 90% of all chronic illness is related to stress, which is basically fear. Fear then leads to anger, hostility, guilt, shame, depression, you name it. And it's connected with behavioral problems, addiction, and ultimately physical disease.
Farnoosh, tell us a little bit about yourself personally, beyond the
Sure.
bio and the professional stuff.
Sure. So I grew up in Worcester, Massachusetts. Anyone here from Massachusetts? Anyone?
There's
One
one
person.
over there.
Practice in Massachusetts.
You did? Okay.
25 years.
Worcester, my parents are immigrants from Iran, and so I'm first generation. My parents came here with, like many immigrants, very little money, but a pursuit, right, to do better, make a life for their families, achieve the American dream. And I think that given our Middle Eastern background too, there was always this openness around money. Like, we talked about money a lot, for better or worse. And I think that upbringing gave me a little bit more maturity around money, and also not this fear around money that when I grew up, I realized my friends had. And I think that has very much contributed to my ability to communicate about money and to relate to people when it comes to financial matters. Fast forward to today, I'm the breadwinner in my marriage. As the woman, this is unusual, but it is a growing trend, and it's something that I'd like to support. So I've been very focused on helping women achieve their craziest, wildest financial dreams, and to also be able to find love and couple that and be happy. It's not a straight line. It's not so simple, and there's not really a guidebook. So
You wrote it.
I wrote a book.
Right?
There is now.
I'm going to get to that.
When She Makes More. So that's a big passion of mine, which you mentioned, and I'm a mom now too. So just some personal highlights.
That's great.
Yeah.
Now, Deepak, you've said that the road to wealth must include a holistic approach to wellness and emotional health. Why don't you share some thoughts with us about how exactly financial health is tied to physical health and overall well-being? And you were about to touch upon this earlier, so expound on that.
Well, I study and teach corporate well-being and leadership, and I can say clearly that if you are in a leadership position in business, and if you're not interested in well-being, your own well-being and the well-being of your employees, then the business is going to suffer. Well-being of employees comes number one. If your employees are healthy and happy, your customers will be happy. If your customers are happy, your investors will be happy. So leadership includes career well-being, social and emotional well-being, physical well-being, which has certain criteria, community well-being, are you happy where you live and you feel safe, and then financial well-being. When you do surveys, people are most stressed about financial well-being. If they're not feeling safe about enough savings, or they don't have insurance or disability or retirement, that's a cause of a lot of stress that impacts everything from personal to social relationships, job performance, career well-being. It's all, when I say holistic, the word holistic means all-inclusive, whole. So you can't separate financial well-being from physical well-being, from community well-being to career well-being. And we can go into specifics of this, but well-being is correlated with everything that happens to a person, to a family, to a business, and to a community. You can correlate well-being with things like hospital admissions, traffic accidents, crime rate, quality of leadership. Well-being is right up there in these different areas that I mentioned.
Now, Farnoosh, all of us, regardless of our level of income or our sort of financial status today, have made mistakes in the past, money mistakes. Been there, done that. Whether that's spending too much, getting into debt, failing to save. What would you say to people? What are some practical things that they can do if they're actually struggling with one of these issues, like a lack of savings or maybe debt, that kind of issue?
Well, first I would say forgive yourself. Don't allow yourself to create this story in your head that you're not good with money, that you'll never be good with money, that you'll never get out of debt, that somehow you can't get control of the situation, because I find that is a mental block that's real, and it's not about the number sometimes. It's really just about our limiting beliefs around money. And I know that when you have a bad experience, like falling into debt or filing bankruptcy or even just losing your job, you can feel our money is so tied to our sense of self-worth that when your money's not going well, then your sense of self-worth might not be going so well either. So understand, like Lynette said, that you're not alone, that there's a world of people out there that are struggling, but have also seen the other side of it. And so how do you get to the